I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Meeting of the Wahoo City Council, May 12th, 7 o'clock p.m. Meeting, Open Meetings Act is on the wall. I'll call the meeting to order and roll call, please.
Stuart Creechy.
Here.
Shane Sweet.
Here.
Ryan Ideas.
Here.
Chris Rappel.
Here.
Patrick Nagel.
Here.
Carl Warford.
We have no proclamations. Anybody in the audience that has something they want to bring up that's not on the agenda? I don't see anybody coming forward, so we'll move forward. Department head report, the presentation by Kennick, unit for upcoming improvements to fiber infrastructure in Wahoo.
So I apologize, the individuals that I was working with are not able to attend or the meeting. I know they're planning to be at Greater Wahoo meeting tomorrow at noon, but basically the information they're going to be sharing with you is an overall plan for their improvements that they are hoping to complete this year for fiber to the home in the city of Wahoo. We've gone through a process of approving several different aerial permits where they're attaching their fiber to some of our poles and some of the poles that Windstream owns, as well as permits for underground installation, boring and trenching in, or vibratory plow, putting the fiber into the ground in the right-of-way, which is the area between the sidewalk basically and the back of curb. We've worked with them as far as appropriate depths to match our infrastructure, and they're getting ready to kick off that project. We'll be having, there's two things that I really emphasize with them as they are working to get this project going, and the first is that there is upfront and forward communication with the residents. If you have a yard and someone shows up and they're digging holes for the boring machine to be set to go, you want to know what that's about, right? And having that communication, they assured us that they would be putting out door hangers on those areas where they're going to be working. Basically, a good rule of thumb is if you have overhead lines in your backyard, you're probably going to go overhead. If there's no overhead lines, whether that's phone or power, they're probably going to be boring in your front yard if they haven't already done it in some other project capacity. So that was the first thing, and the second was that before they begin the work, we're going to treat it like a regular project here in Wahoo, where we have a project kickoff meeting. We establish all of the individuals who they need to communicate with in terms of our team, our utility team, and our street department. So we're hoping that it will be a positive project here in Wahoo. Obviously, when you're installing that kind of stuff, there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be probably something that gets hit that what we didn't either know that was there, that it's kind of messy, but it's progress, and so I'm excited about that happening here in Wahoo.
Is it happening over the entire area of Wahoo, or is it certain areas?
So they showed us a map where there's parts of town that are already being served because they've gone in and provided that overhead service, right? There's other areas of town where there's been some challenges, and that's the areas that they're going to be focused on. There's a lot of underground work that's been done. So did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Is there a cost to the city?
No.
But they will have an occupation tax levied against them or not?
There is an occupation tax that's in place for telecom and cable internet providers that has been in place for a long time.
Yeah.
So, yep. Okay. They may be coming back. We may have crossed wires and dates and communication, and if they're interested in coming and presenting to you, I will certainly invite them to come.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to the consent agenda. The one, mayor's appointment of John Miyoshi to the Board of Adjustment. Glenn Wilcox has represented the planning and zoning on the Board of Adjustment. His term is up and is not going to or asked to be taken off. And John Miyoshi is on the planning and zoning, so he will be that representative on the Board of Adjustment. John came to me and he said, if nobody else is winning, he said, I'm kind of green, but he said, I like to study. So I didn't have to push him. He called me. So, yeah, that's the best one. So that's the only comment I'll make on that.
Had some questions on the claims, and you answered them well. I mean, we had some, I thought it was expensive insurance premiums, but when you told me the value of snowplows that were insuring at $250,000 a piece, that helps, that made sense. So, you answered, I had a couple, 3 questions you answered them all those. So, I guess with that, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Creachy,
Yes.
Raffle,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Okay, there's no public hearings or associated items not requiring a public hearing. Number 1, acceptance of requests for reasonable accommodation and referral to the reviewing authority.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, what this is we have a provision within our ordinances in Chapter 99 that basically says that there's kind of 3 steps to it. When somebody wants to request a reasonable accommodation as it pertains to a zoning restriction, a building restriction, any other of our ordinances or regulations, they submit an application. That application then goes to the city council, not to decide whether to grant it or not, but just to confirm that it appears complete, and then refer it to the reviewing authority. The reviewing authority is Melissa and Jerry as the city administrator and the mayor. They then set a separate sit down with the individual, go through, they make a recommendation as it pertains to whether granting or denying the application, and then it comes back to the city if the parties are so inclined for an actual city determination. So the purpose is not tonight to get into the weeds on whether or not you should or shouldn't grant reasonable accommodation. It's simply to say, is the application received and complete? I think it generally checks the box. One thing I would say, as I review it, just to the applicant, I would suggest that maybe they understand that there's 3 parts to a request for reasonable accommodation. The first is that they have to show and prove that they have a qualifying disability. So just nobody off the street can just ask for accommodation. You have to show that you have a disability. The second thing, you have to show that your disability is linked to your request, right? The reason that you are needing something is directly tied to the disability that you have. And then the third is that your request is reasonable, that there isn't some other alternative or something that can be done in lieu of what you're asking for. And those are the kind of the 3 boxes that have to be checked for the reviewing authority to recommend approval on it, and that which ultimately go back to you as a city council.
So what action, if any, do we take?
That you would approve referring it to the reviewing authority.
So we just say that we have accepted it in the form of a
You
motion?
just acknowledge, yes, you're
Yeah.
making a motion to acknowledge you've received it and that you've referred it to the reviewing authority.
So moved.
There's also a clock in the municipal code that gives reviewing authority 45 days, so this is an official way to start that clock.
Starts.
So that was second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion from the council? Roll call.
Creachy,
Yes.
Sweet,
Yes.
Raffle,
Yes.
Nagel,
Yes.
Ideas.
Okay, number 2, consideration and adoption of an ordinance prohibiting sex offenders from residing within 500 feet of child care facilities and/or schools as requested by Chase Landry. This morning, we had an early meeting on some couple, three subjects, and Jovan was present at that. We discussed this a little bit, and I guess at this point, it's fairly in-depth and a lot of processes for somebody to go through. If the council wants us to dig into it deeper and make a presentation, I just want to hear if you want to move forward with this or you want to stay away from it. I don't know, can we stay away from it?
No.
Yeah. What's that?
Anything on the books now?
No, so basically, the legislature enacted a rule that says, look, you can't prohibit sexual predators from living in your community, just carte blanche, that's illegal to do so. And so the legislature went in and said, you can do so, you can provide those kind of restrictions as to residency and the like, but it has to be limited to this specific subsection of the statute. And if you want to, you can enact that ordinance, which then is the extent of what your ability to restrict residency of those individuals in that situation. The ordinance itself, it's pretty easy, right? The statute's clear, the ordinance is easy to pass. I think the only question I had raised this morning is, I think we just need to make sure from an enforcement standpoint, what does that look like? Because there's a bunch of moving parts in terms of when an individual comes into a community, they have to go first to the sheriff's department. So not a city official, but the county. The county then typically then is the one who oversees the registration process. And then in this circumstance, would the county then take the lead in advising that individual as to where they can and can't reside based on whether it's Ashland or Wahoo or another community's ordinances, and be the one who oversees that process? Is that referred to chief and the police department to oversee it and to be involved in that process? Is that administrative review by the staff to do it? And then say something happens and somebody moves where they shouldn't after you've enacted the ordinance, what does the enforcement look like as it pertains to that? And so certainly it's not a question of can you pass this? You absolutely can pass it. It's not difficult to pass it. It's just before you do so, what we don't want to do is we don't want to put an ordinance on the books and it's just there on the books and nothing ever actually happens from an enforcement standpoint. We aren't being proactive as it pertains to making sure that it's actually being followed, as opposed to having to be reactive and cite people with a general misdemeanor fine, which is an ordinance fine. It's not all that scary if I'm that person to get hit with the misdemeanor fine. So we really, I think, need to make sure at the front end, when people are moving in, that they know where they can and can't move into. That we've educated landlords as an example of who they can and can't rent to if they're within one of the designated spaces. How exactly we're going to do that, rather than just assume that they're aware of the regulations as a landlord, because I think we all in this room know that won't happen. It won't just themselves become aware or educate themselves. We have to do something to make sure that that education piece is out there. So that's what we talked about this morning.
Was there a reason that this was brought to the deal? Was there an issue or a problem that started this process, or was it more just in jest?
I think it was interest from the community is what it, I don't think there was a enforcement
Specific
action
instance.
or an instance or an occurrence or something. I think it's the community had expressed the desire to do it.
We probably want to stay ahead of a situation.
Oh, I
coming
agree.
I'd like to stay ahead of this, is
Yeah.
right now.
And I believe Chase is present, so, as a
Okay.
request.
Speak?
Yeah.
Yes.
You brought up some good questions, and I do have some answers for those.
Just, can you state your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Chase Landry. I live at 544 West 8th Street, Wahoo. That's Ward 1. I have a speech I can give you guys, or you guys can ask me some questions and I can answer them however you'd like to.
Go ahead and present what you want to share with us. I think it'd be great to hear from you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I have a daughter, and many of my surrounding neighbors, lots of them with children, live adjacent to a Nebraska DHHS licensed child care facility. A registered child sex offender just declared a temporary residence on a property adjacent to mine that is also a known drug house. I Most of my neighbors now feel unsafe and very uneasy about letting their children play outside now. It's very painful for me as a father and as a protector to be powerless to defend my family from a child victimizing person moving into a house next door to me and to a child care facility. Through my research, I learned that the city of Wahoo is one of the only municipalities in Saunders County that does not have an ordinance prohibiting child sex offenders from living within 500 feet of schools and DHHS licensed child care centers. I'm here to express my support for adopting an ordinance that would prohibit registered child sex offenders from residing within 500 feet of schools and licensed child care facilities in the limits of Wahoo. I was frankly shocked that the city of Wahoo did not have such a prohibition. Many of the people within Wahoo that I have talked about were surprised and angry to learn that the city did not have a city ordinance with a simple prohibition. Nebraska state law was established in 2006 to grant municipalities the power to prohibit child sex offenders from living within 500 feet of a school or DHHS licensed child care facility only if the municipality expressly prohibits it through a city ordinance. Wahoo has dropped the ball on this issue for the last 20 years and it needs to get fixed. These child sex offenders cause lifelong trauma and pain to their victims, and every opportunity that we as a community can take to help prevent repeat offenses, keep these offenders accountable, is a step we need to take. I was able to locate 7 separate city ordinances for municipalities within Saunders County that currently have this prohibition in effect. Many of these ordinances have been in effect for 20 years, since 2006. You'll find these ordinances in the packet that I submitted when I requested this item be placed on the agenda. Some municipalities also prohibit people from knowingly renting to or allowing child sex offenders to live on their property within 500 feet of these locations. I would like to see the city of Wahoo adopt a similar ordinance with strict penalties attached to help protect our community. I have attached these ordinances in your packets again to help you craft a reasonable ordinance for the city of Wahoo. Cities like Weston and Cedar Bluffs can prohibit it, so can we. This proposal does not attempt to punish people beyond their sentences. Rather, it recognizes that certain safeguards are appropriate when it comes to protecting vulnerable populations. 500-foot buffer is measured in a balanced approach. It's not excessive, but it creates a meaningful layer of protection. We're talking about people that have been convicted in a court of law of sexual offenses against minors, not an allegation. Through my research, I've discovered that there are currently 3 registered child sex offenders that live within 500 feet of a school or child care facility in the city of limits of Wahoo. 3 is too many to allow to live in such close proximity to where our most valuable and vulnerable community members spend the majority of their day. Nebraska Revised Statute 29-4017 clearly outlines how the ordinance shall be written if enacted. Additionally, the state statute already has a grandfather clause built into it. Equally important, this kind of policy can strengthen community confidence. Parents should not have to worry about who might be living immediately adjacent to a child care facility or school where they entrust their kids will be safe. Clear, consistent rules help reduce uncertainty and demonstrate that this city prioritizes safety. Thank you for your time and consideration. Do you guys have any questions?
I might have a question for Chief in the background. Coming from Ashland, how was it enforced in Ashland? How did you do that?
We never had an issue with it in the years we were there.
You had the ordinance, but you had no issues with it.
We had no issues with it.
So did the city police, did they take the lead on enforcing it?
Typically, it's not Nebraska State Patrol that goes around and checks the residents of sex offenders and stuff. And periodically, they would come around to the town and check on them. They still do that. But no, it wasn't a problem. Never was brought to our attention that somebody was violating it. To be honest with you, I didn't know I was there. I didn't know I was on the books until Chase brought it up the other day. But at social media, I heard about it and I said, Ashland has it? I go, yeah, I didn't even know it. So.
Okay. Council, any other thoughts?
Well, I guess my thought
At
is,
this point-
I was unaware until Chase brought it up also, admittedly.
Me too.
So I appreciate you bringing that up to our attention, and I guess I would like to see something in place.
We probably want to make sure that our current sheriff is on board and familiar with it enough that,
So I also might make a comment on that. So Wahoo Police Department would have primary jurisdiction on investigating those.
That's partially true. That's partially incorrect. So if there's a violation, it would be the city and its ordinances that would have to jurisdictionally enforce it.
Yes.
The sheriff's department, though, through the Registration Act, not this particular subsection, but a different subsection, controls at the outset whether or not somebody has properly registered with them and is going to the locations in which they are registered with them to do it.
Correct. That's as far as the registry goes.
And the gatekeeper, they're the initial gatekeeper.
Correct.
Yes.
They also supply these offenders with a packet of all the rules and the laws and regulations that is up to that offender to make sure they are compliant,
How soon
not
can we get
necessarily the
something
city
ready?
of Wahoo when they do it.
So then from Chase's presentation, thank you again. It sounded like we have 3 that would be within that 500.
But they're grandfathered in for right now. Can't force them out, but if they move, they can't move to
That
another
was going to be my
location.
question. I didn't know.
So Nebraska state statute also has a grandfather clause built into it.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, that, they're there until they move.
If they were there before 2006, or if the school or childcare facility was built after they moved in.
Yeah, and that's not quite accurate. The statute does read that way, but it reads that way because of the enactment of the legislation in 2006. There is no case authority interpreting whether or not an individual that has resided in a property after 2006, before the enactment of the ordinance, can or cannot be compelled to remove themselves from a property. There's an argument constitutionally that that would be a taking. If somebody legally moves into a property at the time in which they moved into it, whether or not the city can compel them to leave a property is an undetermined question of law. And I would be very leery of us being the test case for trying to push that issue.
So, from the council, do you feel we should move forward with enactment of an ordinance?
Absolutely.
I do.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I will try and get something put together for the next meeting. So we'll try and get something together for the next meeting to have an ordinance to present. So, if that's so. Anybody else need to speak on this subject? Okay,
To say is,
that too.
President, Jason Moffett, 1425 Wally Boulevard. Chase brought it to my attention as well, just like everybody here. One of the people he's referring to, I actually found out was working on my home, because my wife and I do check it fairly regularly. We know what kind of damage that can cause, and I have 3 little daughters. When I found this out, I will tell you that I went and nicely addressed it with the person, and he did leave my property, but I'll say that in the back of my head, I've always heard about these laws. I knew Nebraska had supported them. I just assumed, like everybody else, that it was already there. So when Chase told me this, I obviously thought, well, there's more that can be done to help protect them. And we moved to Wahoo, so we lived in a community where my daughters, if they chose to ride their bikes to school, could do so without fear. And this is just one more way to help show the community that that is there. And I think it's very important that that happens.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
back here.
Right
Come forward, please. Your name and where you live.
Caitlin Clark. I drove from Ashland, 1817 Boyd Street in Ashland, and obviously I'm pregnant and I have 3 children over on the other side of the wall. We are very, very much supportive of this bill. I hope to someday move to Ashland. I lived in Weston before, and it was wonderful. Walking the whole town knowing that there were no one there. No one lived anywhere nearby the school, and we were safe. I was preyed upon it as a child, and it's very important to me that the city enacts something for this community. As the county seat, I feel like you should be leading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Ivy Landry. I am Chase's wife, so I also live at 544 West 8th Street here in Wahoo. So when I found out that this individual had moved in adjacent to our property, I actually did not want to go home. I was scared to. I almost went to go stay at my mom's that night, because of the lasting effect that I had, of trauma that I had similar to what Caitlin did. And so, I always grew up in Nebraska, and through my knowledge of, my personal knowledge through the legal system pertaining to what happened, was that it was that 500 feet boundary. I thought that was just a given throughout the whole state of Nebraska, so finding that out through Tracy's research and the help that I gave him with that, it was actually really, really upsetting. And I understand the whole grandfather clause, and I know that that is, I don't know how that would be enacted or if there is anything that can be done. I understand that, but like logically I understand that, but personally it's hard for me to understand that because whether the individuals who are on the registry that are within that boundary, whether or not they have a history of repeat offenses, it's, for me, it's too high of a risk for there to be those repeat offenses. It puts our children at risk. I mean, we got kids that go to the church right next door that is that facility, that daycare facility, that is actually a school bus stop. So if we see every morning about 10 to 15 kids right there, and that's every morning during the school year between 7:25 to about 7:35. Every morning, kids have routines. Go to school, get picked up from school. They ride the bus. That is the same routine all the time. And predators learn those routines, which means that it makes our children at a higher risk. For the ones who walk home from school, who take the bus. And for me as a parent, and for me as a victim, I don't think that the city of Wahoo should also continue to put our kids at risk. I'm not saying that you are, but it's too high of a risk. And the lasting trauma that comes from that, the work that I still have to continue to put into after 15 years it's not something I wish upon any other child. And I don't want to see any repeat of, or hear about any repeat of like an Amber or a Megan or any of those. I think if we need to shape things up to get a clear understanding with that grandfather clause, then I don't think that that's, for me, too much of an ask, because if it's not already being asked, what if it's going to be asked someday down the road where it's actually a more severe situation than what we're currently in right now?
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Crystal and I live at 558 West 8th Street. 1 in 3 women is reportedly assaulted sexually, and 83% of offenders reoffend. I think that speaks enough.
Okay. Well, we've heard the stories. We understand that. We will be working on an ordinance and hopefully have it, it'll check the agenda next week, and we hope there's one there. Okay, thank you. Okay, number 3, approval of ordinance 2498, amending municipal code to address multi-day events, applying for an event permit. Get that worked on?
I did. So there's very little in code that we actually have to change because we still want the same information. The form itself will look a little different, but this portion here regarding a fee, this line has been added. So a fee of $10 for a single day event, or a fee of $10 per day not to exceed $100 for events that span multiple days.
You need to put the word annual fee is $100.
Okay, annual fee. I can add that in there. And then the other portion is this ability for approval. So I've added, however, permit applications for events that will span multiple days must be approved by the mayor and city council. The rest of it for single day events gives me the authority to sign off on it. It's approved at our department head meetings. And then down here, just that same phrasing, that this would be if it was denied for some reason, either a single day or a multi-day event, we are required to offer an alternative to that situation. And if they're agreeable. So those are the only things that change in municipal code per se, are the adding of those sentences for multi-day events.
So do you really want a fee in this code? You talk about, $10 fee. Should that live in another part of this and not in this part?
Currently, the $10 fee already is part of code.
Okay.
We could amend it to not specifically list it. We also have a master fee schedule that's approved by resolution.
Which is following this, I thought maybe it belonged in there. But
Right.
It doesn't matter to me.
Like could code
I think that
reference the master fee schedule?
the original event permit ordinance was enacted before we began using the master fee schedule. So there's,
Right.
I think if we wanted to just reference the master fee schedule, that makes sense
Might be a
to
little bit of a cleanup.
incorporate it into.
I can do that. I can make it so that it fees to reference.
That way if it ever changes
Yeah,
in
we
the
don't-
future, we don't have to go back and change that again. We should probably look at all of them and see if there's any other ones for the future.
There's probably a lot of code that actually would need to be
As the
updated. The original event permit ordinance in municipal code was adopted in 2010. And then I don't believe that the master fee schedule was adopted until 2019 maybe. So that you would find that in quite a few locations. But I can make a note that when those parts of code are referenced, we can just edit them and so that they say to reference the master fee schedule.
I like that. I think it simplifies things down the road.
So if we're looking to introduce the ordinance, I would make that motion.
I'll second.
You're introducing an ordinance?
Introducing the ordinance.
Second?
Is there any time frame or, I don't see a need to waive this
Well-
readings unless we have a time frame.
Because at the last meeting, there was about the farmer's market.
Yeah.
That would be at the end of May, so that would be the.
Well, I did speak with Sue Dubois, and she said that if this was something where they needed to have the first 3 or 4 at their current location, they're willing to do that while we kind of put all of the pieces together on this. One of the things that came about from us discussing this at our department head meeting was a conversation about the event permits themselves and barricading for those and what's the street department's responsibility. So that's still a conversation we're kind of having.
Were we not also waiting to find out if their insurance covered?
And we are still waiting to hear about their insurance, yes. In my earlier conversations, she said everything was good to go, and then just yesterday when I spoke to her, I guess insurance was like, well, let's just check one more thing. So there's nothing concrete yet from their insurance either.
If you introduce the ordinance the way that we talked about with removing the fees for the master fee schedule and the amendments that Christine has proposed and adopt first reading, we would have a final
Yeah, perfect.
version at the next
You can,
council meeting.
just the third one or the next one. just
Right.
the second reading.
Yep.
I will go with just the first reading.
Okay. Ready to vote on the introduction of the ordinance. Roll call.
Krejci?
Yes.
Ideas?
Yes.
Nagel?
Yes.
Rappel?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
Okay, so where are we at with the master? Is that separate yet?
Yep, we
Yeah,
can move on to the
that's
master
number
fee
4.
schedule.
Okay. Resolution for the master fee schedule.
And that, the only thing that changed again in here is, way down here, this addition of $10 a day not to exceed $100, and I'll add the word annually after 100.
I make the motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion to second, and Any more discussion? Roll call.
Ideas?
Yes.
Grapple?
Yes.
Sweet?
Yes.
Nagel?
Yes.
Creachy?
Yes.
Okay, number 6 is,
Number 5.
Number 5.
number different. Approval of agreement with JEO Consulting for the downtown revitalization plan process.
Could you pull that up? Okay, can you just,
Need it bigger?
yes, please. Okay, so, can I take the
You sure, ma'am?
So this is the agreement to develop a downtown revitalization plan. If you recall, we were successful in our application for CDBG funding for downtown revitalization planning grant. The effective date of the contract would be May 4th of 2026 and finished by May 18th, the 19th of 2028. I absolutely do not think it will take that long, but planning processes can get bogged down sometimes. Initially, in my conversations with JEO, we were talking about being completed by February or March of next year. The total dollar amount is $60,000. Our grant total project cost was a little bit more than that, which included administration from SEND. I guess just a little bit about the process. We are going to be working with a steering committee, and if you have been on the Wahoo Weekly Chamber newsletter, I sent it out to, it was out on social media, sent it out to members of Greater Wahoo Development. Initially, I thought that we would have a steering committee of about 5 or 6 people, because typically that's about how many people say I would be interested in participating. And I apparently got the news out well, because I have 25 people who are interested in participating in this steering.
I think that's great.
That's fantastic.
And, yeah, the contract limits to 20 members on that steering committee. And I will tell you, in my request for interest, it wasn't send me your name and I'll put you on the list. It was send me your name and a brief statement about why you're interested. And there are folks who, there's a lot of younger folks, there's folks with experience in downtown revitalization efforts, and there is people who are really passionate about the downtown. So I'm really excited to get this process going. We're going to work with some community surveys so that there's a conversation about how people currently use the downtown, what the barriers might be. There'll be a survey for downtown business owners where they'll talk about those things also. The consulting group is going to take all of the plans we already have in place, a lot of the census information, and compile it into data that this steering committee is going to review along with the survey results. And then we're going to start developing some projects and identifying kind of the way that we want downtown to be. Once that's done, and there'll be some pop-up events that we're going to ask people to participate in, where we have an opportunity for the public to come and find out about what we're doing. There's I think 2 of those pop-up events included in this contract, and then when we've collected all the information and gotten the feedback, then they'll draft the final document, and the steering committee will participate in reviewing that. If you read the agreement, there's all of the terms are spelled out in there, but I'm excited about getting moving on this. And so, any questions?
Turnout's great.
Yeah,
I'd heard a number of people talk about it, so I was hopeful it'd be a big number.
yeah, I'd heard 3 or 4 people said they were gonna call and ask again.
Yeah, we have people who have lived in Wahoo their entire life. We have construction people. We have downtown business owners, we have people who are new to the community, who have brought their young families here. We have someone who has participated in a downtown revitalization effort in another community in Nebraska. And so I think we're gonna get I think the challenge now will be for the consultant to sort of help guide the conversation and steer the conversation and get things out.
Yeah, 'cause everybody you mentioned, like, oh, we're gonna have a different way of looking at it,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So,
Different
which is great,
perspective.
you know,
Different
so,
perspective.
but yeah, the consultant will earn their keep, right?
Keeping 20 people focused. on the
Yeah,
same direction.
exactly. But how great, what a great
Oh,
way to
fantastic.
approach it.
So we did the survey, we selected JEO, and that was 6 months ago, of all the different.
That was, we did a request for proposals sent that out in October. We received 4 replies back in December. The committee, I think there was 8 people on that committee, did individual scoring, and then the highest total score was JEO, and you as a city council accepted the scoring results and authorized preparation of the scope of services and contracts. So we've complied with, this has all gone through Send, who is administering the grant for us, to make sure that we're checking the boxes on this with the CDG program, so.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any other questions? Alan? Roll call.
Krejci?
Yes.
Ideas?
Yes.
Nagel?
Yes.
Sweet?
Yes.
Raffle?
Yes.
Okay, approval of agreement with Nebraska Department of Economic Development for the CCCFF planning grant.
So if you remember, Kevin worked with JEO and helped a little bit, it was mostly Kevin, to apply for a planning grant from the Civic and Community Center Financing Fund through the Department of Economic Development. We were successful in getting that grant, and that is for the specific project is to for a potential rec center facility planning and schematic possibly for rec facility. One of the questions that I have asked, if not yet gotten a response from, is in the application or the information that is on Department of Revenue's website about the Sports Facility Financing Act specifically says that projects that have used any funding through the CCCF grant are not eligible to apply for the sports financing facility funding, the turn back tax. So I am seeking clarification on that, and in light of the recent decisions by that sports financing facilities,
Tax back.
the turn back tax,
Yeah.
the
turn back
committee
tax.
that recently met and issued their decision on 9 applications that were presented to them, and there were only 2 that were approved. I'm not saying we shouldn't accept this grant, because I think it's foolish for us to let $15,000 go, but I also want to make sure that we are not taking away our eligibility for the other.
Well, yeah, what would that
Be
cost be?
significantly larger.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean,
So how do you research that?
yeah, I mean,
So there are some individuals in the Department of Revenue that I have reached out to, I just have not heard that now. As we talked about in our work session, that our bond counsel has said it's not worth even considering it if this is the route that you want to go with the turn back tax.
so,
But in light of the recent decisions, that's still a possibility. I think it's going to take a lot of work for us to get there.
Is there a deadline for this year's turnback tax?
No, that's an ongoing application.
Totally, still ongoing.
So is there a deadline for an approval or an agreement from us?
I would think
on
we need
the-
to have an answer by the next council meeting, whether we're going to officially accept it or.
So it'd be foolish for us to approve it without you having that answer
Yes,
on your side. So really, there's no table it till the next meeting.
that's fine, yes.
So we need to make a motion to table?
I'll second that motion.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Question? Roll call.
Sweet,
Yes.
Creachy,
Yes.
Ideas,
Yes.
Rappel,
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have anything else on the agenda. I really don't have any comments at this point. We do try and keep the council up to date on some projects going on in the community. We had Lower Platte North NRD board meeting, again, their monthly meeting last night. We were one step closer to probably one final vote of approving the project. Last night, we allowed them to start moving dirt
Is that amphitheater?
at the amphitheater, yeah. And at this point, two of them that have not voted on it before because they've been absent, those two voted in favor last night. So there was 15 there and 15 said yes. That's my only thoughts, comments. Council, any other comments? Need to bring brought up?
I guess I just want to say thanks again for bringing that to our attention about that ordinance, and I can at least speak from my perspective that I'm all in favor of us doing that, and we'll do what we can to get that taken care of. So,
Thank you.
If there's nothing else, meeting adjourned.